I can see that you are a people on a journey, moving onward and upward, taking your church to the next level. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Moses, and I know a thing or two about journeying to the next level, for God led our people from slavery in Egypt to the promised land. Let me tell you my story today. We had been in bondage for 400 years before God released us and set us free. We marched out of Egypt and we went through the Red Sea with our enemies at our heels. We wandered through the wilderness for 40 years, and then we came to the promised land, went in and took that land in spite of the enemies that were large and intimidating. But the part of the story that I want to focus on today is that story about the manna, the bread from heaven, which was read about just a moment ago. After we left Egypt, we came to the wilderness of Shur, and there our people experienced great thirst. Have you ever been thirsty? I don't mean ready for a glass of water. I mean desperately, dangerously thirsty. Your throat becomes parched. Your lips are cracked and bleeding. Your equilibrium is off. You can't stand up straight. You can hardly move. You're in danger of death. And that's how it was for my people. We were in danger. And the people looked to me as their leader and they said, "Moses, why have you led us to this place?" And we called upon our Lord, and He gave us water. We looked in the distance and we saw a place called Marah. And there was water there. There were lakes and streams and an abundance of water. And we ran to that water and got down on our knees and we started to drink. And then we started to gag, for the water was bitter. And we could not drink it. And the people were angry. They were angry with God, but they were more angry with me. And they said, "Moses, why have you brought us here? What shall we do?" And we called upon our God. And He whispered in my ear. He said, "Moses, take a log and cast it into the bitter waters." The log absorbed the bitterness. The water became sweet. We were able to drink, and we survived. And so, filled with water, feeling good about ourselves, feeling good about our journey, we set out once again, moving onward and upward, letting God take us to the next level. And we landed in a place called Elim. Elim was a beautiful place. 70 palm trees, 12 streams, an abundance of water, all that we needed for life and sustenance. It was a good place, and we camped there. I liked Elim. I wanted to stay in Elim. But God said, "No. If you stay here too long, you will become complacent. Come with me and let me take you to another place." And so from there, we went into the wilderness called Shur. And it was there that we experienced great hunger. Nothing to eat. We were starving to death. And again, the people were angry. They were angry at God, and they were angry at me. And they said, "Moses, why did you bring us to this place so that we could starve when there were flesh pots of galore back in Egypt?" And we prayed once again. And we told God of our need. We told him how hungry we were. And again, God whispered in my ear, he said, Moses, tonight you will receive meat. Quail will descend upon the land. And then in the morning you will look and find bread from heaven. That night we feasted on quail. And the next morning I rose from my tent. And when I came out, I looked and there was this fine white substance on the ground. It looked like the dew of the morning. And I looked at it and I said, what is that? I took my finger and scooped some up, and I tasted it, and it was sweet. And as the day went by, it dried, and it looked like coriander, and it tasted like wafers dipped in honey, and it was good for food, and we ate. And for the next 40 years, we ate the manna. Do you know what manna means? Literally translated in the Hebrew language, manna means, what is it? My wife came up behind me that morning and she looked over my shoulder and she saw the manna and she said, what is that? And she tasted it and it was sweet and it was good. My brother Aaron came up behind me and he looked over my shoulder and he said, what is that? And every Hebrew in our company looked at the manna and said, almost in unison, what is that? And so we called it, what is that? We called it manna. And God provided. And we survived. Until that day that he took us into the promised land and gave us the place that he had promised long ago. He took us onward and upward on a journey that led us where he wanted us to be. I tell you this story this morning because you too are on a journey. And there are 3 things that I want you to remember about this passage. 3 things about this story that you need to know. First of all, God always, always hears you when you pray. We were hungry, and he gave us bread. We were thirsty, and he gave us drink. What do you need today? Perhaps a loved one is sick. Perhaps you are out of work. Perhaps you are distressed or depressed. Whatever it is, take it to the Lord. He hears you. The second thing I want you to remember is that when God answers your prayers, you might not initially understand what he's telling you. We asked for bread, and God gave us manna, and we looked at the manna and we said, what is that? Because we didn't understand. Sometimes when God answers our prayers, we don't get it at first. And so, be patient. Listen quietly. God will make it clear. The third thing that I want you to know about this story is that when you pray, understand that God will provide. God always provides, but he gives you not what you want, but what you need. We were hungry, and God gave us manna. We wanted steak. We wanted lobster. We wanted filet mignon. We wanted caviar. But God gave us manna. The manna was good. The manna was sweet. But after 40 years, the manna got old. God doesn't always give us what we want. He will give us what we need. Today, you are on a journey. as you take that journey, remember, God will hear your prayers. He will answer them. You may not understand what He means, but if you trust Him, it will become clear. But most of all, remember this: God will give you everything that you need. Good luck, my friends, on your journey. Move onward and upward. Let God take you to the next level. I'm going to call on your associate pastor to come to the front during the invitational hymn, which is number 302. As the Spirit leads you, you come during this time of invitation as you stand together.